another guard spot on the third team. And because I feel good about having De'Aaron Fox in one of the guard spots, a Jalen Brunson versus John Morant discussion.
That's interesting because I did not have either one of those guys on my third team.
Who did you have, my friend?
They were definitely in consideration. I had Ant Edwards. I think that Ant Edwards just has gotten overlooked a lot this year for his contributions. I mean, you talk about all the stuff going on in Minnesota, like we did at the top of the show. The dude has been a constant. He's averaged almost 25 points a game. And again, keys to the franchise, and he's held his own, and he's brought it defensively. You saw what he did against Brandon Ingram in yesterday's game after Jaden McDaniels punched a wall. So to me, I agree with your parameters about Steph and Lillard. They did not make the cut for me. I don't even think they played above. I think they topped out at 58 games. So I couldn't justify that. And then you look at a guy who got his team into the play-in by whatever means necessary. And I thought Ant Edwards deserved it. And then, again, speaking to the human component, it's tough for me to reward Ja when his off-the-court stuff jeopardized his team. I have a hard time doing that. And again, criticize my operation or my motives, however, whatever you think. Who is the other guy you mentioned? And Jalen Brunson.
Brunson. I mean, and the one thing I will say, this is why I love doing this, because it's helping me unpack everything in my head. The idea, again, this isn't supposed to matter. It does matter. Like the Knicks having two guys, does cross your mind. Like two out of, two top 15 players. So I will have to think about that. I mean, your Edwards discussion, Singer, is fair. But yeah, Brunson, and Fred, throw it to you with this. I mean, you're talking about a guy that, especially with Julius out now, that, not only exceeded expectations, but put a group on his back and lit up the garden and dealt with that spotlight and has balled out. And it's just been positives any way you look at it. I mean, it's been a pretty incredible year for him.
Yeah, I mean, here's what's funny about the Brunson versus Julius situation is I think my prediction is that ultimately Randall is going to make All-NBA and Brunson isn't. And I don't think you can watch anyone who has watched pick anyone who has watched the Knicks all year, and anyone would say that, like, it's Jalen Brunson's team. Like, anyone who has watched the Knicks all year knows it's Jalen Brunson's team. And I think that the awards voting, how it's going to end up, is more of a product of guard being much deeper than forward is than anything else. With Brunson versus Morant, I honestly think it's just going to come down to your criteria. If your tiebreaker is who's the better player.
On Edwards again too.
If your tiebreaker is just like who's the better player, I just am going to pick the better player. Then, because that's going to age better, and I'll feel good about John Morant, voting for John Morant years from now when Ja is an 8-time All-NBA player, then the answer is John Morant because he's the better player. But if you're talking about, Jalen's played 400 more minutes than Morant, which is not inconsequential. That's a good amount. He, has turned around the Knicks. They've exceeded expectations, all these other things. But he's the better shooter. In just about any context. Ja's jump shot kind of fell off in the second half of the year after he got off to a hot start there. I think Ja's a better passer. He's obviously better in transition. Brunson's been one of the best ISO scorers in the NBA this year by efficiency, which has been a huge reason why. And then you look at where they've led their teams, and the Knicks finished third in offensive efficiency. That is insane. Who predicted that? I thought they would be bottom 10. And a huge reason for that is because of Brunson's isolation scoring. They love getting into the half court, and Brunson just looks for mismatches and cooks guys. And he has been a Brunson one-on-one situation is extremely good basketball. He just scores at a ridiculously high rate like that. So I think it kind of comes down to, like, is your criteria, is 400 minutes enough extra minutes? Is that enough to override the fact that Ja was better per minute? And Sam, only you can make that determination.